Ugh, so bad. So bad. You're growing a third eyeball. Good evening and welcome to the Montgomery City Council meeting for July 8th, 2025. Appreciate all you being here. Would you please make sure that your phones are on vibrate so that we are not to be disturbed during the meeting? I appreciate it. It's exactly 6 o'clock p.m. and we have a quorum, Ms. Diana. And with that, I'd like to begin the evening with the invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance, if you please stand. Mr. Donaldson.
Heavenly Father, we appreciate the opportunity, Father, to serve the city of Montgomery. We thank you, Lord, that you give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to do what's right in your sight and what's best for the citizens of Montgomery. Father, we thank you that you guide us in all our ways. Help us to provide the necessary things to make life comfortable and pleasant right here in Montgomery City. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the United States flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I received one request for the public forum to speak. Mr. Ben Loiter, Latoyer. Okay, if you please approach the stand and state your name and address just for the record.
Yes,
That would be great.
My name is Ben Latoyer. I live in San Antonio, Texas, and I represent KPM Outdoor Advertising. I stand here before you to gauge the city's interest in partnering with my company to develop a community/commercial message board at the gateway of the city. We are a global development company and would like to build a double digital billboard sign very near the city limits. In exchange for this permit or this special use, we would give the city use of one of the 8 digital faces to advertise their public message or any other city-sponsored events, such as fundraisers for the firefighters or a blood drive for the victims of the West Texas floods. We would, of course, own and operate and pay for the construction, permitting, and maintenance, so it would be at no cost to the city to utilize this service. And it would be for the life of the billboard sign, so it's not a limited term agreement. So with that, I'll turn it over to the council. If you all have any questions, concerns, thoughts?
You have a business card?
I absolutely do.
Thank you.
Would you like that now?
I would.
Have you secured the location? Do you have arrangements ready?
We have a verbal agreement with the property owner. I told them that I would come to the council and explore this option before we signed any agreements.
So we have a sign ordinance for signs on the ground for monument signs. And we have the LED sign here at the center of 105 and 149, which actually we are considering an upgrade. That would be something that would be of interest. But also you stated one side would be for the city. What would be on the other side?
On one side, one of the 8 faces.
Oh, 8 faces, okay.
And so in order to recoup our investment, we would sell the other 7 faces to commercial businesses in the community, or home builders or developers or whomever would advertise on that. We are a family-owned company, so we're not going to put anything inappropriate up there. We're not going to make them additional deliveries.
And I am familiar with your company because Farmers Insurance used them a lot.
We've been doing billboards in Texas for over 30 years. I've been doing it here in Montgomery County for 20. My kids went to school with Tessida, and half the billboards you see along 105, I think, that part of the development. So I'm not looking mean to make waves or upset anybody. I would just like to add and enhance the messaging to this community.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you giving by and sharing.
Alan, they would need to go in front of planning and zoning, yeah?
Well, they need
For
to
the board.
talk to Tilly probably about our ordinances
Yeah.
to ensure Tilly and Brent to make sure that what they're offering is something that the city can even,
Yeah, we have his contact.
yeah, okay, good, yeah. I knew
It's all new. Well, and
Yes.
again, I'm just open to exploring this option. If the city and the council are not agreeable, then we're not going to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
You know, if that's something of interest, then we most definitely would engage, you know, the city and engineers and architects and so forth.
We really appreciate you coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, next item on our agenda, number 4. Presentation and discussion of proposal by the Communications Tower Group, LLC, CTGI, for the installation of a cell tower on city-owned property with potential land lease agreement. Ms. Tilly.
Mayor, City Council, I have a representative here from CTGI, his name is Brent Dozier. And he will kind of explain what he is proposing with this cellular communications tower. It's going to be a monopole, so it'll probably be different than the tower that you all are used to seeing.
Okay.
My name is Brent Dozier. I'm a contractor for CTGI, and just honestly looking to enhance the cellular coverage within the city limits, really north, west of the city. I believe it's going to end up being, the proposal is going to be on the facility where they'll be building a police facility or a training facility, something like that. I'm not sure what it is, Ms. Tilly.
Later in the future, yes.
Okay, later in the future. Anyway, can I approach and hand you all a couple of things?
Certainly.
Okay. Ms. Mayor, I'll start with you. What y'all are going to look at is, the first one is the city limits in Montgomery from an aerial view. If you notice, inside the city limits, unless I'm wrong, there are no cell towers stored, town and lots of beautiful areas. The second one should be showing the 7 towers outside of the city limit. But where we're proposing the tower is going to be in developments where new neighborhoods are developed, the new school is there, there's a ton of other things going there. And then, of course, the third is going to be the 3 properties that are owned by the city that we are looking at. The first, obviously, being the future development of the city of Montgomery.
Sorry, I was trying to listen to you and look at all of this, and I see a whole bunch of things, and I don't know what they mean. So where would this, is it going to be over there off of 149, where we have the, where potentially the shooting range will be? Yes, okay, that's what I believe. Okay, just making sure. There's a lot of things on here.
So, wait a minute, this is the 7 existing, huh?
One of them will show the actual tower where it's being proposed to the north.
These are the 7 existing towers.
I guess. There's no towers in town.
They're not in town, they're not.
No, that's in town. That's in town. It's at the high school.
So I don't know what.
I don't know what this is.
Could you say where that is located again, please?
I'm sorry,
Yeah, yeah, now I get it, but I don't know.
where it will be located?
Where is it going to be located?
Again, I don't have a strong address because it's just a piece of land owned by the city of Montgomery. So, but if you follow 149 before you get to Lone Star Parkway, it's kind of on the southwest corner of that.
Yes,
The
understand.
old wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah.
Huh?
The old wastewater treatment
Yeah.
plant across from the,
Church.
So do you have a picture of the tower itself? They said it's a different design?
It was in our budget.
I didn't see it.
It's here.
yes.
It's in there?
It's
Did I not
it's
see
in
it?
our thing.
Okay, have any of you driven through Walden?
Right here.
Okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know they had it.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go.
Mayor, Council.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. I just didn't, I went
There we
past
go,
it.
okay.
That's one we just actually built in Walden. vertical bridge owns it. It was built next to the old flagpole that just wasn't working because just a little bit about cell towers. When you put these antennas inside of an enclosure and they don't have any spacing or anything, they overheat and they just don't work very well. It's like a small cell or a DAS system. A macro site is one of the reasons you have 7 towers outside of the city is because we don't lack towers. What we lack on all 3 carriers is capacity. Montgomery and a lot of the towns around here are growing, which is fantastic. But what's happening, if you have, per se, T-Mobile, you get into the middle of Montgomery and your T-Mobile is slow as molasses. AT&T's the same way, you get certain spots. So with all the development that's going on, we thought staying away from the other towers and also in that northeast corner where I know there's a lot of developments going along with schools and businesses, it would be an appropriate place to put a 195-foot tower so that all 3 carriers could be on.
How
And if
tall
it's,
again?
it's up to you guys if you want to. And the police facility is built there. I would negotiate into the ground lease to put your equipment on there as well, free of charge. Kind of like the building. Sorry.
All right, I put my billboard on there.
What, Tilly, in our sign ordinance, do we still have a requirement on height of signs? Does this fall under signs? Where does this fall? Because in years past, when they would come to us, it fell under signs.
We have a telecommunications code ordinance, and it has height regulations, it has distance requirements from residential. There's all of that. He has the guidelines of what the requirements are, all the safety requirements, but we do have a specific ordinance for telecommunications towers.
How old is that?
This is the
Ma'am?
it's been in there for a while.
Yeah.
Pretty old.
It's been there for quite some time. I can check on the actual date that it was added into the ordinance. but
I'll rewrite
it's
it
been
for
in
you.
there
I'm
It's
sure
been
you
in there
will.
for a while. So, because it is not a sign. It doesn't even fall under the definition of a sign. I wouldn't be able to use that ordinance, but because we do have a specific ordinance on it, I was just going to pull it up. Because we do have a specific ordinance on it, we would follow those regulations.
So really, what I'm here for is just to answer questions. This is merely, Q&A, or we have, I think, like really get the feel of what could happen, what will happen. And the last thing I'll end on before you have any more questions is I'm not sure Montgomery County or the city of Montgomery is on FirstNet. Y'all heard of FirstNet?
Yeah.
Okay, it's an emergency response system. So when AT&T goes on this tower, I'm sure they will, obviously the emergency responders, anytime 911 is calling, calls are shut down and go straight to emergency. So it also helps in those cases.
Cool.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Do you have any questions? All right. Moving along to the consent agenda, item number 5 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action on the City Council regular meeting minutes of May 13th, 2025. Number 6, consideration of possible action on the City Council workshop meeting minutes of May 22nd, 2025. Council, you can take these individually or all together. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Olson, second by Mr. Johnson, that we accept the consent agenda. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the consent agenda as presented. There is no public hearing on this agenda, so we're moving on to the regular meeting. And at this time, we will take what was number 18 and put it as number 7, so we'll be moving it to the top because there is a presentation. Number 7, consideration of possible action on a resolution of the City of Montgomery, Texas, adopting the nationwide deferred compensation plan and further providing for effective date, severability, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this resolution is adopted was open to the public, that the public noticed of time, place, and the subject matter of the public business to be considered was posted as required by law.
Mayor and council, can you guys hear me?
Very little, not, well,
Okay. So presented before you is a Nationwide 487 deferred compensation plan. Right now, the city of Montgomery has a pension plan for TMRS with a 7% contribution. The Nationwide 487 plan is an optional platform available for employees, if you choose to elect this for the employees, to have as an optional form of retirement. And this is no cost to the city of Montgomery at all. It is self-funded by the employee and paid for by the employee. And since I have come on board, I have had several people ask me about an option like this. And so with listening to the employees, I am bringing this forward for you. Tonight, we have Sylvia Cribb in the audience who can answer some questions. And also on Zoom with me is Jose Garza Jr. to answer any direct questions you may have about this. What I can tell you is that, as I said, it's no cost to the city of Montgomery. It's self-funded by the employee.
So who pays the fee that they're going to charge monthly to the city? Each employee pays a portion of that, or is there no fee from this company to do this? Because most of them have a monthly fee.
There is no fee in terms of no direct item fee. The fees are all built into the mutual funds themselves. So the investment portion consists of about 30 different mutual funds. All of them have expense ratios, just like any other fund. If you go directly to a fund house and buy them there, these will also have an administrative service charge associated with each fund, and that's built into the price per share of the fund. So those that would like to participate in this retirement plan will pay that fee. Therefore, the city themselves is not burdened with any type of fee. We are not, we don't operate on commission or anything like that. Our main job is simply to provide, service and education, and ultimately help people save and plan for retirement. We've been in the business, in the public sector business for over 40 years. We're the largest 457 plan administrator in the country. We have over almost $4 billion in assets, that our company owns and we have a rep that will be coming and servicing the city of Montgomery in person, if that's what the employees choose, or we can do it virtually, like I'm coming to you today, which I wish I was there, by the way. So, hopefully that helps answer the question, but I'm happy to answer any more or provide any more details on the investments and how the program does work.
Carol?
Carol, did you hear the answer before?
Yes,
Prior
yes.
to, okay, just
I
making
heard
sure.
it. He said there is no fee
That's
to,
right.
Tied in with
the-
the mutual fund.
Yeah, it's built in.
right, it's built in, so when we get a bill from them, there shouldn't be any extra. It should have been out of everybody's check. But I've been there, done that, so that's the reason I'm asking.
Yep.
Nothing's free.
Okay. All righty. Any further questions?
I have no issues with this at all. So. I'll make a motion to accept item number 7 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Olson, second by Mr. Donaldson, that we accept item number 7, which is previously item number 18, as presented. This motion is debatable and amendable and requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 7, previously number 18, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 7, previously number 18, as presented. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Now, we will go up to the previously number 7 and turn that to number 8. Consideration and possible action on a resolution calling for a public hearing to be held on July 22nd, 2025, on an application by Texas First Bank for a special use permit on 1.1681 acres of land out of restricted reserve C in Block 1 of Montgomery First, a subdivision in the John Corner Survey, A-8, aka 19940, Eva Street, City of Montgomery, Montgomery County, Texas 77356, with a financial institution with a 2-lane drive-through and a drive-up ATM with the dedicated lane. Ms. Tilly.
Evening again, Mayor and Council. So this property at 19940 East Street is the property between Wendy's and Christian Brothers. It's the last vacant lot on that main edge of Eva Street. The property is zoned B commercial. We currently do not have a financial institution in our table of uses. We don't have a financial institution with drive-through lanes and the drive-up ATM, and that's why they're requesting a special use permit to cover all of that. Now, for the use in the B commercial, because we don't have it in our table of uses, the most similar uses are the office, professional offices, and maybe a loan office also. Those are normally permitted in the B commercial. And by using that as the similar use, we're saying that in the B commercial, then financial institution should also be in that B commercial. If you have any questions, this will be just a call for public hearing for that special use permit. The planning and zoning committee have already heard this, and you'll see it attached to in your report there that they do approval.
I'll make a motion to call a public hearing to be held on July 22nd, 2025, City Hall, Montgomery, Texas, for the special use permit for the First Texas Bank.
Second.
This is a motion by Mr. Olson and seconded by Mr. Donaldson that we call for a public hearing to be held on July 22nd, 2025 at City Hall at 6 p.m. to discuss application for First Texas Bank and approval for a special use permit at regarding 19940 Eva Street, City of Montgomery. This motion is debatable and amendable, requires majority vote. It is open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting the item as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept previously item number 7, currently item number 8, as presented. Currently, on your agenda, it's item number 8, but it's really item number 9. Consideration and possible action on the acceptance of a utility and economic feasibility study amendment on the BCS capital development number 2415. Mr. Rosnowski.
All right. Starting on your packets on page 63. So just reset the stage. If you remember, back in January, y'all approved or accepted the feasibility study for the original 32-acre BCS development. There's been a lot of discussion since then. There was the MOU that's been approved by the city, and a lot of ongoing discussions and meetings regarding this project. Back in May 27th, they requested and authorized an updated amendment to be performed to that feasibility study as the developer put the additional 6.5 acres neighboring this property under contract, and it's closed, my understanding, on this parcel. So what this memo does is we're just covering the first pages. The attached to here is the original study. We'll just kind of focus on what has changed and what's new, and kind of answer questions from there. So what this property, or what this additional 6 acres does, is now they have the entire frontage from C.B. Stewart to Buffalo Springs, everything between those two roads except for Ransom's itself. Everything else on that property is part of this development. So what they're proposing, you'll see an updated site plan in your packet, is still the big boxes in the back, pad sites along the front. Right now, the only users that they have lined up is Academy and Texas Roadhouse, which has discussed kind of before. The rest are just prospective pad sites at this time, no commitments on those developments. So the estimates in here are based on what we know. So water and sewer is based on equivalent usages for same size buildings, assuming some restaurants, some retail, some the different types. So as we know more, obviously we're able to tighten up those projections. What's also included in this entirety of the 38 acres is the multifamily portion of the northern end, which they are currently working through the rezoning process of that portion of the site. So, all that being said, when it comes to water, one of the main differences between what they had originally proposed versus today is in the original proposal, we had them stopping the water line along 105 at their property boundary, which didn't include all the cities through. Now that they own across, the change is requiring them to extend it the additional way to get all the way to CD Stewart to close that water line at their cost or as part of their development, since they now own all the way across. From a flow standpoint, again, they've added a lot, so they're looking at about 16,000 additional gallons a day based on the high-level conservative estimates we have. When it comes to capacity, very similar discussion we had last time, and as we've been discussing, and as the reasons you'll have initiated design and permitting of the future water plant, you have booster pump improvements going on, as well as a sewer plant. So all those kind of projects are underway. But as we said, and as we'll continue to say, there's a lot of development coming toward the city. We try to be conservative in the win, but as things move and shift, we're trying to keep those as up to date because it is close and it is tight on capacity. So we're still in a good spot today. And depending on the timing of the developments, we'll see how things fall. But right now, for this development, in this study, we're expecting that they were having their first connection starting in September of next year. Based on conversations, very likely that pushes to the first part of 2027. So that helps with our timing of capacity.
So when you say 16,000 gallons, is that taking into consideration the multifamily, or is that just the retail?
That's everything.
Okay.
That's the entirety of the site. So the multifamily, the retail, based on the estimates in the land plan.
No chance that any of that pad sites on the front will be a car wash?
There's, yeah,
To up
and there's
that
always
usage?
chance.
Okay.
So I mean, it's zoned B commercial, so it would be allowable use. But as of right now, that has not been mentioned as of.
Does any of this change the 380 agreement we already discussed?
They have not requested any changes to the 384. So on the next item on the agenda, which will, with our recommendations to the table, they have provided comments to their development agreement that we received earlier this afternoon. We met with them, we're making those changes, or reviewing their comments to go back and find common ground. But as of right now, they are not asking for an increase to the amount of reimbursement. Okay. So sewer side is very similar. So again, obviously larger tract, larger usage. And again, same thing as they were stopping the utility extension at their property line. Instead now having to take it all the way to CD Stewart, including the removal of lift station 12. So we can take a lift station off the system and sort of more by gravity, which saves us operational cost to do so. A couple kind of on water and sewer. We also mentioned here about an additional water line or sewer line extension up Buffalo Springs instead of along CD Stewart, just based on how the property naturally falls. It makes more sense. They're going through some options about routing that through the site to better serve and reduce the total footage. And so the city's done that before. Other similar kind of developments like this of having a public line that runs through the middle to serve these users. But that would be part of the development agreement. So they provide an exhibit of exactly what they're asking for the city to be public. So everyone's clear.
At what point in time will we be able to determine whether it's going to be asphalt or concrete?
So that's my next bit. So on traffic, so the original study had them improving Buffalo Springs to make it concrete like the rest of Buffalo Springs up to CD Stewart. It mentioned in that study potential improvements to the northern end of CD Stewart, north of Clover, because at the time, their only frontage onto CD Stewart was from the multifamily parcel. So now that they have driveways onto both, for the commercial, for the multifamily, there's a lot more traffic. And so our recommendation is they need to do a traffic impact analysis and fund a geotech report to come up with that ultimate recommendation for CB Stewart. Buffalo Springs, it needs to be concrete if that scope doesn't change. But CB Stewart, because depending on which way the traffic flows, projected and the actual loading, I think that based on our cost estimates, the concrete roadway will likely be more cost effective because of the soil conditions, essentially where you have to have double the amount of base on the asphalt road than we do on the concrete, and that amount of material and excavation just pushes the price where concrete in this situation looks to be more effective. But kind of ultimately our recommendation is saying, once they do finalize their site plan to determine which way are their trucks being directed in and out of the site. Because that's the main thing that we're concerned about. One is the volume of the passenger cars, but two, the loading of the trucks to serve and stock all these stores. What does that study show for where that traffic distribution is going to be? And then what does the geotech report say is the ultimate recommendation to say that? So we have it vague in here for a reason, is we want to see kind of what the actual studies are telling us to make that final recommendation on the scope of the road.
Would that study make a determination of whether or not a right turn lane on 105 turning north on Buffalo Springs would be required? Because if you don't, you're going to wind up with more traffic on CB Stewart than on Buffalo Springs, because they're not going to sit there and wait for the light.
For sure. They're having to, I will ask specifically about that one. I know they have submitted to TxDOT for their new driveways onto 105, which TxDOT will consider additional turn lanes as part of that impact in that study that they submitted. I do not know for sure that included onto Buffalo Springs on what goes through the site, but that is something that we will ask and get clarification.
Chris,
Yes, ma'am.
is there, what is the, how's that all going to turn out with the church? Have they started their project yet? I think it's 14 acres.
So the church has been provided, so we looked on one of the exhibits, it shows kind of the overall utility layout. Because the church has a water line portion. Our recommendation is both, they each pay their per ride share to one project because it's cheaper to have one design, one contract, one contractor, and do it all as one to save both of them overall cost. My understanding from the church that they have been provided the updated cost estimate. They have the development agreement in their hands. When I last talked to them a few weeks ago, they were hopeful to start moving dirt this fall. So I think that they're wanting to move forward, but we have not heard back on the agreement.
But are they going to have to do a traffic impact study also for CB
Oh, the
Stewart?
church themselves, we do not have that as a requirement. They've reduced the size of their building.
But they're going to be using CB Stewart as well.
That's correct.
So why would they?
So part of it was already a platted development as part of the Lake Creek Village development portion. Part of it is also, the amount of, this church has reduced the footprint of their building, so they've reduced the size. So the actual amount of traffic is a lot less than originally thought. So the site is
So I'm looking at this water plant, the water usage and the projections.
Yes.
And today it looks like we're currently just under 600,000.
Right.
And that's almost to 2026. But when you look at the projections to 2027, we're doubling that. And at that time, when we double it, water plant 4 completion is to hit, correct?
Correct.
So what if there is a hiccup in water plant 4 completion, and these numbers are astronomical, and we're doing double of what we're doing today just in 18 months?
Right.
What's that look like? Is there an emergency plan? What do we do? Because now we're approving it today for future
Correct.
use.
So it's, what it looks like is, two different numbers. One, our projections are meant to be conservative, so it's going to be based on what we actually see. And two, it could be a slowdown in some of these developments and requesting kind of extension and going back and pushing these things out a little further. So we have buffer, like we talked about last time, built into our projections, and also just the pace that these developments are coming on. It is especially when you look at the historical, we all know that there's been a lot of historical growth too, but when you look over the past couple of years, it's a relatively flat trend that just skyrockets with all these new developments. So, I think that there's, again, we're we're still in the position today, we're in a good spot. But it has to be a continual conversation of, as these projects move forward, as the timing gets solidified, where can we push? Where can we get the projects going forward? So one thing we're discussing is on the water plant project specifically, how do we break it up? Let's get the well drilled now while the rest of the design is being completed to get that cycle moving quicker.
So we can throttle growth, but I don't want to throttle it too much to where our developers are upset, screaming and yelling because we can't deliver.
Right.
And we've promised them, okay, and they've made agreements and investments based on that.
Do we have any idea what time it would take from start to finish to build the water tank?
So it's a year-long
That's,
process.
yeah,
It's all of a year for that.
Well, how long?
a year.
A year.
Just a year. That's a project we've been on the books for a while.
Right.
But we've been doing, we've got the design going,
You already have the
Move
permit,
forward.
so, on the water plant specifically, you've already gone to Lone Star and obtained the permit for the well. So that saves
TCQ.
you a lot of time. The construction of is what we're looking at now, is how do we phase out the construction to get that, so we're not waiting until it's all complete, let's get the well drilled and in service, and then let's get the tanks and everything else.
Yeah.
up and
Is it
on.
still the same location? West of Dam?
Yes, Old Plantersville and Old Elm.
Is there any latitude from the time that we have 2,500 connections to when the water tank has to be done?
No, the requirement is that you have it at 25.
That's tough.
So Chris, we talked, there's that development, multifamily development. Have we heard from them that was going in behind Pizza Shack lately?
I have heard from them. They had requested to be on the agenda a couple months ago. They were reevaluating their development plans, looking at potentially some frontage of the street being different from the multifamily in the back. As of, it's probably been close to a month since I last had a discussion, they were still modifying that plan in order to come back to the city to request that.
So that was the group that we were looking at, maybe helping us do the meter to tie into,
That's correct.
right?
That's correct.
So if we could make a deal, we could also use that to get us by?
Correct.
Okay.
And again, the projections here are all based on, all the capacities are based on average flow. So you have a 2.4 peaking factor on all. But yes, right now the proposed interconnect is an emergency interconnect. But it doesn't mean that you cannot request for a temporary, and give us a couple months of service while we kind of close the gap between building and water.
So contingency.
So overall, going to the last page 5 of this amendment, we'll see the updated kind of estimate of the infrastructure cost. There's that range in there for CP Stewart, like we talked about. It's half the road, all the road, concrete, asphalt. And then you look at their updated development costs. They're looking at a total at full build out, assessed value of $166 million, which would generate roughly $600,000 in applicable tax at full build out. When it gets there, that's after full build out. This doesn't have anything with sales tax in it. When they come back for the discussion regarding the development agreement, obviously revised sales tax numbers, adding 6.5 acres of commercial changes that.
Stuff.
What's the action?
So just acceptance of the study.
Of the study.
So I'll make a motion to accept the economic feasibility study amendment for the BCS capital development.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Olson, second by Ms. Fox, that we accept the utility and economic feasibility study amendment on the BCS capital development number 2415. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All those in favor of accepting the utility and economic feasibility study amendment on the BCS capital development number 2415, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the utility and economic feasibility study for the BCS capital development number 2415. All right, we are tabling item number 9, but I have it as 10, but we'll take it off here. This has been fun. Okay, so then we'll go,
Do we need to make a
back to
motion
10.
to table that?
Oh, yeah,
So
okay, sorry.
I
Well,
make
he
a-
can ask.
I'll make a motion to table item number 9.
Motion by Mr. Olson, second by Ms. Langley, that we Table item number 9?
Yeah, I'm trying to
Wait,
think
do
of
we
a
have to pick a date?
Yeah, we have
We
to
have
pick a
to put a
date for a
date.
table, so.
Next, is it Wilkes?
Well,
When's
you
the
ready
next?
next meeting, Chris?
I would put it for the next meeting, and if we need to, we'll give an update.
I'd like to table that to the July 22nd city council meeting.
Okay, July 22nd. Yes. All right, all those in favor of tabling what was item number 9 now, item number 10 to the July 22nd city council meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will table previously item number 9, now item number 10 to the July 22nd meeting. All right, now,
Mayor, can I say something?
yeah,
When you move an item, you, like in this case where you moved to item number 18, you call it as number 18 and then you go back to the sequence of the agenda. So
Okay.
then you go your 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you just want to read them out by the numbers that they are when we write the minutes, we'll know what you're talking about.
all righty. Item number 10, consideration of possible action regarding authorizing the city engineer to begin design of the Lawson and Simonton Waterline Loop project, subject to receipt of deposit for Superior Properties of Texas LLC.
Right. At your last meeting, you all approved a development agreement with Superior Properties. Part of that development agreement was for them to fund the city to design and construct their water line replacement on Simonton and looping that around to Lawson. And so that is what's in front of you, is the authorization for city engineer to begin that design work, subject to receipt of a deposit from the developer per the development agreement. So what's in here is the full design, construction, materials testing, survey for the project, with a total estimated time of 186 days to complete the work. And the summary of the fee is located on page 163 of your packets. And then following that, you'll see an exhibit on page 164 showing the scope of the project. And as a reminder, this is the same exhibit that was part of the development agreement for this.
I make a motion, we accept item 10A, no, I'm sorry, item 10 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Donaldson.
Second motion.
Second by Mr. Tulowitz, that we accept item number 10 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It is open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 10 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 10 as presented. Item number 11 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action on Montgomery Bend, Section 3, WSDNP plans, development number 2203.
Right. Back on May 28, 2024, council approved the construction plans for Montgomery Bend Section 3. Home sales were slower than they were expecting, so the construction of Section 3 has not yet occurred, not yet begun. They have submitted a request to re-up their approvals. What's allowed is a one-time re-approval. We looked at the plans, compared them to the recently adopted ordinances. There's no significant changes, no changes that affect their design. So our recommendation is to go ahead and re-approve the plans for Montgomery Bend Section 3. Based on information by the developer, they're expected to bid and award that contract this month to start Section 3 of the project. And Section 3 includes 85 lots.
Make a motion to approve the Montgomery Bend Section 3 plans as presented.
Motion by Mr. Olson,
Second motion.
second by Mr. Tulowitz, that we accept the Montgomery Bend Section 3 plans as presented for number 2203. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 11 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 11 as presented. Item number 12, consideration and possible action on the Montgomery Bend Section 4 WSDNP plans, development number 2203.
Right. Very similar to the last item, so Montgomery Bend Section 4 is 67 lots. They are not intending to bid this and start construction right away, but they do, based on home sales, they expect to do so into the year, first of next year, to get started with construction. One thing I will note on Section 4 is, so part of their agreement, part of their TIA with TxDOT is they have to install a traffic signal once they reach 250 lots. That break point is, I think, 2 lots into section 4. So what we have told them is before that the city will accept, start issuing building permits in section 4, they have to have that traffic signal completed in accordance with the building.
How many houses, Chris?
250
And that signal's on 1097?
on 1097 at their entrance.
And is it the acquisition of us saying okay to this, or is it they're actually building on the lot for
It's
that
the
light
plat.
to go in?
So
Okay.
what we, the communication with them was based on when they do the final, record the final plat of section 4, because they can't sell the lots until they plat.
Right.
And so we would not, they could start with construction, but they wouldn't be able to do the final plat until the signal's in place that meets that rule. My understanding, they're planning to bid that out pretty soon as well, before section 4.
And that signal is going to be on that curve?
Correct.
How many wrecks we expecting?
So I know next up's reviewed them, but it's, yes, it is on that curve.
I'm assuming there's signage on both sides before we hit the light?
I do not know what's on their plans. I would assume there are, those are through TxDOT, but I would assume based on its location, there would be signs warning of the approach up to that light.
Well, that's not too far from the Buffalo Springs light.
Yeah, but it's up a hill and around a corner.
Yeah, but it's a bad corner.
Aren't they moving 1097?
Not in this lifetime.
Their
Moving
plan is
it.
to move it?
But where?
There's been discussions about rerouting 1097 to line up with 1097 west.
Move it north?
That would be somewhere in there, but that is,
We asked about it at the TxDOT meeting, and it's not even on their 20-year plan.
Oh,
At
okay.
first it came, it started to come back, but why do we need to fly over 149 going to nowhere, back up to 149?
Yeah.
So you do 1097 east to west, well, it takes you back through the forest, you're not going anywhere. So
Yeah.
I think that those plans have kind of been slow, killed, whatever the word is.
That's always
Drop.
right on.
Yeah. Other than straightening 1097.
There's a plan. Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept, to approve item number 12, yeah, as presented.
Second motion.
Motion by Mr. Olson, seconded by Mr. Zulovich, that we accept item number 12 as presented. This motion is available, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 12 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 12 as presented. Now we're going to bring item 16 up in between 12 and 13. So item number 16, consideration and possible action on a First Amendment to wastewater pump and haul services agreement between the City of Montgomery, Texas, and JDS Old Plantersville Road, LLC, and to authorize the city administrator to sign the agreement.
right, I will introduce kind of the background of where the lift station project stands, which kind of necessitates this agreement. And then I'll let Attorney Allen and city staff kind of answer questions on the agreement itself. So as of today, the lift station is operational on permanent power. What is not operational is the generator. So the generator startup is scheduled for Thursday of this week, the 10th. And then they have a gas tank on site. This is going to be a natural gas generator while they wait for the natural gas line to come in and be able to make it full. So the reason for this item in front of you is our recommendation is not to accept the lift station since the generator is not operational. But so in the event of a power outage, the pump and haul agreement would be in place, that there's enough flow that Johnson Development would be responsible for the cost of having the sewer pumped and hauled out of the system. Now, the reality is that generator startup is in 2 days. Natural gas is going in as we speak. They're working on it. And the amount, there's probably not going to be significant homes in that development until the first part of next year. So kind of by the time there's actual flow, likelihood is the generator is in place and everything is operational. So it's in terms of the here, I'll let Alan engineering related questions.
So this is really an amendment of an existing agreement, and other than the number of building permits that can be issued and the locations. And none of the terms have changed. If you'll recall, about 2 months ago, you approved a similar agreement to allow them to submit building plans for 6 model homes. And this expands that from the 6 model homes that was very specific to those to any home site within these 3 sections. Other than that, all the terms are the same.
Good.
Well, ultimately, Chris, how many homes are we looking at that will be built that have the risk of having to be pumped and hauled?
Sorry, how many homes are in the first 3 sections? 180. So there's 180 homes, so I mean, if power goes out, the generator's not operational, and all 180 homes are built, that's obviously a lot more. So to answer your question on how long they had between, it's such a varied number on, the amount of flow at that time, but it's a large system, it is a deep system, so there's a lot of capacity in there to hold. In the event of a power outage, the lift station is not operational.
At the rate that they're building houses right now, what do you think the probability would be?
I think that the likelihood is that the generator is online prior to any substantial building problems. Because startup is Thursday, natural gas, and it'll have a natural gas tank, so it'll be usable as a generator at that time. You do not have generators at all your lift stations. And natural gas is going in to make that permanent connection. So, I know natural gas is giving it a lot of timeline.
No, I would say probably, sorry. Matt Banks, Johnson Development. I would probably say in the next, be super conservative, knowing that they're in the community right now installing lines, 60 to 90 days. And it's probably end of the year, first part of the year before we have a finished home, for somebody to actually move into and create flow.
Okay.
And another faction too, just for consideration, this is Mid-South and not Entergy, which correct? It's Mid-South?
Power, C Energy.
Yes, so, and Mid-South has got a excellent reputation of staying alive when other providers go down. Is that said politically correct?
Yes.
Yeah, they're good, they're very good, so, okay.
The other thing to note
They're
is that
solid.
there will be there is a natural gas tank on site for the generator to
Yeah,
use.
no problem.
But again, can't start up to Thursday.
Okay.
And then full acceptance.
How long would the generator run on the tank?
Good question. I get the answer for you. I don't know if it's
Long enough to refill it,
How
probably.
big's the tank? How large is the tank?
I don't know that in the top of my head, but I can definitely.
But it can definitely be conserved, because that lift station doesn't need to run all the time. It'll, especially in these first phases of the development, it's running a couple times a day. Because there's just not a lot of flow that's going to be there required.
Because the other houses are model homes only, right?
Correct. The first 6
Okay.
that were in the
Yes.
original agreement were.
That are there now.
Yes.
Those are model homes. Nobody's living there. So,
Correct.
okay.
Nobody living there, minimal flow.
Yeah.
They-
Right.
They don't allow anybody to use those facilities.
Cool.
Okay. I'm good.
I'll make a motion to accept the First Amendment to the wastewater pump and haul service agreement as presented in item 16.
I'll
Motion by
second.
Mr. Olson, second by Ms. Langley, that we accept the First Amendment wastewater pump and haul services agreement as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, and requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting the First Amendment to the wastewater pump and haul services agreement as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Nay. One nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the First Amendment to wastewater pump and haul services agreement as presented on number 16. Now we'll go back up to number 13. Consideration and possible action on the acceptance of public infrastructure within Briarly, Phase 1A, Section 1, and authorize the city administrator to sign the certificate of acceptance, development number 2006.
All right, so the next three items are very similar. Each one are in individual sections, so there's individual punch lists for each. And generally where they stand is all about the same. So the main items that were remaining with this item was the driveway connection to Old Tannersville and Cameron Drive. That, as of this afternoon, has been completed, including the pavers and the asphalt connection to Cameron. So that is it. The other items that are outstanding are, there's one manhole lid in one of the sections that is not the city of Montgomery standard, still works, but it's on back order to get the one city of Montgomery lid switched out. The meter boxes that were installed were normal size, not the jumbo size. So as of this afternoon, there was at least 3 guys and trucks switching out those meter boxes, with the intent of all those will be done prior to any meters needing to be set. They're actively working on it. And then the normal items that aren't done by this point in time. And those items are your sidewalks, which get installed on builders, the trees and vegetation going in right now. And then the street lights are listed on here as not complete. Most of those have been installed. They're just not all fully complete. And that's one thing that by the 1-year warranty, they confirm that they're in, and they're in the locations that they're supposed to be. That power usually lags behind the water and sewer infrastructure. So our recommendation is to go ahead and accept section 1 and move forward with allowing them to get building permits to start those homes. It just abundantly clear, the items that are not 100% complete, your acceptance doesn't change the requirement to complete those items. But the system operates as it is.
Make a motion to accept item number 13 as presented.
Motion by Mr.
Second
Olson.
motion.
Second by Mr. Zulovich, that we accept item number 13 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All those in favor of accepting item number 13 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 13 as presented. Number 14, consideration of possible action on acceptance of the public infrastructure within Briarley Phase 1A, Section 2, and authorize the city administrator to sign the certificate of acceptance, development number 2006.
Very similar to the last item, so if you look in your packets on page 18 or 19, I can't read on there, you'll see an exhibit of where this is, just to kind of keep track of where the sections are. But same items are in place to wrap up these final items, just like I mentioned in the last section. One thing I didn't mention on the last is they have put up their maintenance bond for all of the costs of the construction as required. Sorry, I did not mention that.
Is there more homes in this section? Is there more homes in this section? It looks slightly larger, but I can't tell by the makeup.
They're all generally about the same.
Same, okay.
Plus or minus.
Just the footprint.
I'll make a motion to accept item 14 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Olson,
Second.
second by Mr. Dilovich, that we accept item number 14 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item 14 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item 14 as presented. Number 15 on your agenda, consideration of possible action on the acceptance of the public infrastructure within Briarley Phase 1A, Section 3, and authorize the city administrator to sign the certificate of acceptance, development number 2006.
Very similar last one. If you look on page 2.
Just changed one thing.
223, you'll see a exhibit of where this is and part of the overall development.
Number.
Same thing, meter boxes, they have grouted and sealed the manhole, which is not shown complete on the punches in your packets. Meter boxes are underway, and then all the other items are the warranty for capital. Again, we have the maintenance bond in place for it.
Hey, I know this question applies to all 3 of these with the sidewalks. Since they're going to install the sidewalks after, do we get another year on the sidewalks?
So we discussed with the city attorney and checking them at the homeowners. And making those inspections at that time. As far as the extending the warranty per, I now can't remember where we left off in that conversation with the attorney. If we got to that point, we were focusing on the making sure we had the catch that they were putting correctly, since they're not done, and we expect it back for 1 year. But I'll circle back on that, and I'll get back to you later on how we can get the warranty on those.
I make a motion to accept item 15 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Olson,
Second motion.
second by Mr. Zovich. We accept item 15 as presented. All those in favor of accepting item number 15 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. And we will accept item number 15 as presented. All right, let's go on down to 17. Consideration and possible action regarding entering into an interlocal agreement with Montgomery County for a temporary traffic signal at Lone Star Parkway and Lone Star Bend. Mr. McElroy,
All right, Mayor and
very
Council,
exciting news.
agreement y'all been waiting on. So they're estimating about 65 grand for the temporary. Keep in mind, this is the temporary signal. They intend to fully fund the permanent one with the road bond when the widening happens. So they're asking up to 50%. It's a pretty straightforward agreement. So present it to you and see what you think. I did speak to him earlier today. He's looking at end of September for completion on this.
So that would fall in this fiscal year's budget?
It's close. So if it happens by the end of September, yes, but if it goes past October 1, it could go into next year.
If it falls this year, are we good?
Say it again.
If it falls in this year, do we have the, because this is
Yes.
not something we budgeted for.
It's not, but we have the contract labor street line item. It's $250 for the year. We still have about 180 left in it.
Okay.
And I've purposely been waiting on this agreement, not knowing how much of it was going to be affected. So,
Okay, very good.
So
How much do you want to pay?
So we're
Paying
half
We're going to pay half.
of the 65, is that
And
right?
They said
half of the actual cost. They're
Okay.
providing an estimate of 65.
Right?
But the agreement that they sent over does say 50% of actual, up to 50% of actual cost.
Does we cap it?
Yeah.
And keep in mind, you can make whatever recommendations
Right.
that you
Not
want
to
to
exceed
the attorney, and he can send it
Yeah,
back.
32,500.
Go ahead. Oh,
Oh,
So I'll make the motion
Yeah.
to
Number
enter
17.
into, on number 17, to enter into an interlocal agreement with Montgomery County for a temporary traffic light for 50%, not to exceed 32.5.
I'll defer to Alan on the process.
32,500.
I'm sure we need to send it back over and get their blessing on it again.
It's their estimate, right?
Estimate, that's the thing, but they're basing it on an estimate, but it does say actual cost,
Yeah.
so that's the kicker.
Well, if we don't say up-
We can write in that number and send it back and see what it says.
Can we just say not to exceed 35,000 and gives that buffer? In the event it's $100 more than what we have approved here?
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's smart to put it not to exceed on it.
Absolutely,
that's my
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, we'll have to come back and delay this
So
because,
I'd like to amend my motion to not to exceed 35,000.
Second.
motion by Mr. Olson, second by Mr. Donaldson, that we enter into an interlocal agreement with Montgomery County for a temporary traffic signal at Lone Star Parkway and Lone Star Bend for up to 50% and not to exceed $35,000 of the cost. This motion is debatable and amendable and requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of entering into an interlocal agreement with Montgomery County for a temporary traffic signal at Lone Star Parkway and Lone Star Bend to pay up to 50% and not to exceed $35,000, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. We will enter into that local agreement with Montgomery County for a temporary traffic signal at Lone Star Parkway and Lone Star Bend, up to 50%, not to exceed $35,000. Thank you. All right. Let's go on down to number 19. Discussion on House Bill 1522, open meetings notice and the impact on agenda processing.
Mayor, council, I brought this to the agenda to give you guys an update on House Bill 1522. This is in relations to open meetings notices. This bill requires government entities to post agendas and meeting notices at least 3 business days before the scheduled date of the meeting, ensuring that there is adequate time for review and preparation for discussion. This goes into effect on September 1. What that means is the day of the posting and the day of the meeting don't count. There's no longer 72 hours, it's 3 business days before. And again, if this is just to let you know that these changes are coming, leadership had a meeting internally to discuss this so that they're aware of this coming down the pipeline. And we want to start implementing this now so we can iron out any kinks before the 9/1 comes into effect. And that way we're staying in compliance with their posting of the agendas and transitioning with the new scheduling. So if you have a city council meeting on Tuesday, July 22nd, the agenda needs to be posted the week before on Wednesday, July 16th, which means the agenda cutoff deadline is Wednesday, July 9th. So it really pushes things up for us. And something that the leadership team did note is that the monthly reports that are provided on the second meeting of the month, they're requesting to start moving that to the first meeting of the month. So they're asking for the July 22nd monthly reports that are presented at the end of this month to be pushed to the first meeting in August so we can start the transition process. We didn't want you to be taken off guard that they are not on the agenda, and we wanted you to know why we're doing this so that way we can stay in compliance with posting regulations.
Makes sense.
This is ridiculous. I got with Will Metcalf. I mean, this just pushes back business for us. We can't do general business 6 weeks out. You have to get it on the agenda. It's absurd. But I know it's already passed, so we can't do anything about it. That's my 2 cents. And me and Mr. Walker are going to meet with him. I'm really upset about it because we're going to be doing special meetings weekly now because we can't get business done in a timely manner. It's awful.
But special meetings still have to have a 3-day notice.
Yeah, but that's
It
not-
doesn't change anything.
Yeah, it does change a lot.
What it makes you do is plan into the future. It's the same thing we do in the corporate world. We plan 12 weeks out, so.
Well, yeah, no, but here, some of this stuff got on the agenda last minute because the stuff comes in. And if you've got to tell a developer who's just purchased the property, oh wait, you got to wait till the next meeting, or probably the next meeting after that, it's just not, it's not efficient for city business. And when I texted Mr. Metcalf to express my disdain, post to go into effect. I mean, he said that he's open to talking about it, because I do think on the budget piece, I think I can see that portion, but not to do general business. It's 6 weeks to 8 weeks in the future that's not efficient for us. We gotta be able to act quicker. And I don't want to be special meeting to death every week.
I'm missing the point, Sarah. I mean, to me, it's only moving it up 2 more days.
No, Stan, it's not.
2 days.
So today is a meeting. This would have been that last Wednesday, all of the information had to be but prior to that, all of this stuff happens a week to a week and a half prior to that, so that the engineers and the attorneys and all of those can get, and then if they're sitting there going back and forth, which happens a lot, now you're pushing it down the road and it could be up to 8 weeks. Yes, where today, they counted it as the weekend was 72, it was part of the 72 hours. So we posted on Friday to meet on Tuesday. But now they're not allowing the weekends. And they based it, well, he said, you don't count Wednesdays and you don't count Tuesdays. So the 72 hours is the Thursday, Friday, and Monday.
Well, the only thing I'm misinterpreting is the time it takes for the departments to report. Because I thought they reported just before the due date. Or you're saying they have to report what they've got to do 2 weeks before it actually posts, right?
Yeah, and if you miss that window, then you're now kicked out till another 2 weeks down the line.
So they're moving it to the first meeting of the month just to give them more time.
Well, to get their schedule will start flowing
With the
by
law.
September 1st.
Okay.
You have to add a comment.
Yes.
Mayor and Council. For the meeting coming up on July 22nd, we're required to have everything in by don't even have the bank reconciliations wrapped up for June. So I can't possibly put together a finance report. We're still trying to go through all of the month-end items and all the daily operations. And so that's why for those type of reports, it's just not possible for us to be able to meet that deadline. When we had, typically the way that it would work is, if the finance report is coming, I would have till like next Wednesday to be able to get that to Ruby. But for her to be able to have the time to go through the agenda, make sure all the content is there, get it over to legal, we just don't have the time anymore to do that. And I know the same is true for Public Works with that operator's report, because we can't even get the data until like next Monday. So that's why it has to be pushed out. So it's unfortunate, but we want to at least be aware that that's what we're up against.
Mr. Metcalf said that he would be willing to talk about to amend the whole thing, like, hey, give me your feedback, see what we can change, and they're certainly open to looking at that, but.
In looking at the budget aspect that's in there, we already followed.
Yeah.
So one of the things that it talks about is that your budget has to be posted on your website, or, part of the packet. We post that on our website. So as soon as we have that proposed budget, it goes on the website and it's there for the 30 days. The other piece that it talks about is the piece in your property tax calculation, comparing the average value, what your tax rate would be last year, what your tax rate would be for next year. We already do that. It's already a part of the calculation worksheets that come from the tax office. So I was a little confused by that. But so I feel okay with those things. It's just this timeline and how it's going to shift some of the reporting that you'll get.
Based on the answer he gave me, there's been bad actors and local governments across the state who are taking advantage of vague and open-ended language in current public postings. So a few bad people impacted the whole entire state.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 20, are you all finished with the discussing?
Are you?
No. Item 20, consideration of possible action, the escrow agreement by and between the City of Montgomery and the developer, Mavis Southeast LLC, and authorizing the mayor to sign.
Good evening. In your packets, you'll see a copy of the development application, followed by a site plan and an exhibit showing where this is. What this is a proposed tire, brake, kind of light auto repair shop behind CVS, so south of CVS, running on 2854. This is already a platted development. There's already utilities there, so there's no feasibility study required. And so this is just the approval of the escrow agreement, which they will then put up funds to cover the cost, the city's cost of administration, legal, and engineering fees to review approved plan.
Question about the mapping. I see their plan, what they're going to set behind CVS, but when I go to the map that shows the property, it's a lot more property than they're going to use. Is that?
So that is the current parcel boundary, is that whole thing that they're subdividing off. So if you look at the site plan that shows the building, you'll see the heavy dashed line around it. They're pulling that portion off of that current boundary, which is
Okay, so they're just not using all of it.
correct. So I think the developer will retain the back portion, the portion that's the creek. They will pull off the frontage and then only develop the version.
So is this a franchise? It says the owner lives in New York.
I believe it is. This isn't their first, this isn't a one-off store. I believe it is.
No, few stores.
Is this the first in Texas?
First in Texas.
This is their first Texas store.
They found in Montgomery.
We're a lot of firsts around here.
Goes with the flag.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we accept agenda item number 20 as presented.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Donaldson, second by Mr. Olson, that we accept item number 20 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 20 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 20 as presented. Next item on your agenda is the executive session, item 21. Closed session. City Council will meet in closed session pursuant to the provisions. I did not see that, it was at the bottom. I apologize. Council inquiry. Y'all got anything? All right. Oh, now we'll move on to the executive session. Whoa, Ms. Tilly, come on.
Just wanted to follow up on Councilmember Langley's question regarding the telecommunications tower.
Mhm.
So it wasn't since 2004. It was actually added to the building regulations under Chapter 18, and it was in 2016.
Chapter 18.
And
Chapter 18, it starts in Article 5, Section 18-124, where it starts with authorized permits. And it describes location and setbacks.
Does it have a height restriction?
There is.
Yeah.
Height restriction.
taller than Tilly.
Location.
Taller than Tilly.
It can't be within 200 feet of any residential use. The height of the tower can't exceed 75 feet if the tower is located 200 or more feet and less than 250 feet from any residential use. It can't exceed 100 feet if the tower is located 250 feet or more and less than 540 feet from any residential use. Or the height of the tower shall not exceed 120 feet if the tower is located 540 feet or more from any residential use. So there's different options on there. Only monopole towers shall be allowed within 540 feet of any residential use.
So is that,
So there's a lot of,
There's a lot of stuff
There's
that
the-
we tapped out
The
at
house
20.
that's there,
well, yeah, so that's
It'll
not the
be-
house and then,
enough,
right.
yeah,
and then
They'll
the,
definitely
Yeah,
make adjustments.
it'll be okay.
Because of the location of that one house there
Mm.
that's close to kind of the entry
Mhm.
of that back.
is there residential coming in west of there that's going to impact it? I know north of there is commercial, but west?
I think north of there is still industrial.
Industrial, yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean residential to the west, okay, all
Yeah,
right,
the residential to the west, they'll make sure that they
okay.
meet the distance requirements.
But we still capped out at 120.
We do, but of course, there's always the option of variances. And I'll take a look at what kind of variances.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Tilly.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Executive session, number 21. Closed session. City Council will meet in closed session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code in accordance with the authority contained in A, Section 551.072, deliberations about real property regarding 213 Prairie Street and a potential lease agreement. It is 7:17 and we will head into executive session.
Sweet. Carolina.
Welcome back. It's 7:45 and we are back into open session. And there is no action to be taken on this item. So we will move on to the closing agenda and item number 23, items to consider for placement on future agendas. Does anybody have anything? With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Zulovich, second by Mr. Olson. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries at 7:45 and we will adjourn. Good evening.
I am ready to go.
Yes.
All of those out there. I didn't eat before I came.
No.